This is a video on Amazon SES Global Endpoints, a new feature that was recently released by AWS. So in this video, we will discuss about the concept behind it, why it was launched. I will show you a demo, how you can implement this, and certain questions that you would have in mind when using global endpoints. So let's get started. So these are topics that we would cover, like what are global endpoints, what is the benefit, how they work, how you can set up, and some FAQs. Now, basically, what are global endpoints? So basically, it's a new SES feature that allows customers to distribute their email sending. So why this feature was launched was like, let's say you have an email sending in a specific region that is US East 1. And let's say in case, although the region does not go down so easily, but let's say that if the region goes down due to some outage, so your email sending would be stopped. So in order to set up a disaster recovery method, so it gives you an active configuration where you have two regions. One is a primary region, one is a secondary region. Both are set up concurrently, and your email sending is distributed across both the regions. So in case if one region goes down, your email sending would automatically move to the second region. So that is the main gist of this global endpoints. So if you see, it automatically routes traffic to the secondary region to the healthy region if one region experiences degradation. This was launched due to to ensure high availability and improve disaster recovery. Now let's move to what are the key components of global endpoints. So basically, when you configure global endpoints, you will get a endpoint ID that you can use to send emails. Like when you send emails, you would have to specify that endpoint email ID. So that is a multi-region endpoint ID that you will see. So then it uses deed, that is deterministic easy DKIM. So basically what is deed is, like, let's say when you set up your SCS in one region, you have to verify the identity, verify the domain identity, you have to create DNS records. Now let's say when you're setting this, so you also be setting a secondary region. So you do not need to manually add the domain and add the DNS records. So deed will automatically take this and do the steps for you. So basically it simplifies setting up multi-region identities without DNS changes. So what you have to do is you just have to go to your main identity and duplicate it, and the domain would be automatically configured in the second region as well. I will show you in the demo part. Updated SES console is basically there is simple steps how you can duplicate domains, configuration sets, and sending limits. I will show you all these in the demo part, so it will give you a better understanding. Now, readiness check is it basically compares both the primary and secondary regions, like what are differences between those regions, and you can accordingly take actions. So we already discussed what are the key benefits, like automatic failover between regions. If one region fails, it will automatically route to the second region. Improved email sending continuity as you're in two regions. Simplified multi-region configurations due to the help of DEET that we already discussed. Now, how the global endpoint works, like what you need to do is, so basically first we select a primary region where the endpoint is created, and then we select a secondary region. Then SES creates a multi-region endpoint like that you use while sending emails as an entry point for your emails. Now the global endpoint setup, like this you don't have to do, it automatically synchronizes the key artifacts like sending limits, and basically it will show you like what are the differences, and what you have to do is you just have to click on duplicate identities. So your existing domains will be duplicated from the first region to secondary region. Similarly, you can do that for configuration sets, and similarly you can do that for sending limits. Basically the sending limits should be similar in both the regions, otherwise the sending could get affected. Although not all configurations can get automated like this, so there are certain configurations that you have to do on your own as well. So now once the global endpoint is set, you just have to use the global endpoint ID in the send email API call, which you would be using for sending emails. So SCS will automatically route your outbound traffic evenly between both the regions. If one of the regions get impaired, it will transfer all the sending to the secondary region. Now let's move to the global endpoint demo. I will show you how you can use this feature. So let's move to the AWS console. So I'm in the AWS SES console, as you can see, and I'm in the UST1 region. Also, you can see the region from the black top bar here. It would you can see also. Uh, I have hided that part due to the security credentials. Like you can see the username also here. So now let's say I'm in the UST1 region. You can see I already have production mode here. You can see 50,000 sending. So there are two modes, sandbox and production. So I'm in the production mode here. So like I go to my entities, I can see I have one domain verified. It's the testing domain. This I use to send emails. Now you can see a global endpoint at the left hand side is a global endpoints tab. So what you have to do is you have to create a global endpoint. Let's say I write a name for this, testing global endpoint. Okay, and the primary region is USTS1 because I am in the USTS1 region. So wherever you create this endpoint, the primary region would be that. Secondary, I can select to a secondary region. Let's select the Asia Pacific Tokyo region. So this would be my secondary region. You will see a warning here that to ensure that global endpoint configuration operates, ensure that the selected region is production access as well. This is because let's say if your sending limit is 50,000 in the first region, but sending limit is only 200. So when SES would try to eventually distribute the sending, so it could be possible that your sending limit in second region would breach because it's lesser than the first one. So that's why the sending should be similar in both the regions. You can also add a tag to identify or like for certain use cases, but we will just leave it for now. I will just click on create global endpoint. So you would see that the endpoint is being created and the regions UST one is the primary, Asia Pacific is the secondary region. This is the endpoint ID that I would use while sending emails. So I will do a reload and it should create in creating status. It hardly takes 1 to 2 minutes. So yep. Meanwhile, I will show you the command that we would use to test. So basically, this is a AWS CLI command that you can use in your terminal. You should have AWS CLI configured to test this. So you have to just replace the sender email address and the recipient address. And here you have to add the endpoint ID that we saw here. This endpoint ID you just have to change it. And let's wait for a second. Just replace the from into and this value. Let's reload it. Yeah, you see the status has changed to ready. So the endpoint is ready now. When I go inside this endpoint, you will see the details like the name, the endpoint ID that you would use. Primary region is this, secondary is this. Now you will see this part that we are talking about. It asks you that you can duplicate resources. Now it gives you three options. One is duplicate configuration sets, duplicate verified domain identities, duplicate production limits. So let's say configuration sets, if you're not aware, these are basically a kind of configuration settings that you can use. Like if you want to use event monitoring and SES, you can use configuration set. If you're using dedicated IPs, then you can use that. So let's say I click on duplicate. So now it will give me options like what are the configuration sets that I have in the primary region. Let's say I select the first one, 1, 2, 3. So then I click on confirm. So it says in progress. So that particular configuration set is now being duplicated to the secondary region. You see it's successfully duplicated. Now if we go to domain also, we can do that. We can click on duplicate. So now this domain would get automatically duplicated to the secondary region. See, it says successfully duplicated. So this makes our task a lot easier. Now the third part is duplicate production limits. Production limits is like when you do this, you have to manage. So when I click on it, it will, since my secondary region is not in production, so it will ask me to raise the limit, like request the limit to to match the first one, so that you can do as well. The limit, you just have to click on this radio box and click on request increase. You would see option of the limit that you want to increase. You can enter that value and click on create limit increase. Now coming back to our page of the main global endpoint. So here you see all these things we have discussed. Now you see there is one action required. So if we click on view report, it says that event destinations do not exist in both regions. So there is a thing that I discussed earlier as well. So not all things are manually duplicated. So in case of configuration sets, like if you have any event destination configured on that configuration set, that you would have to manually update in the secondary region. It's also mentioned in the Amazon documentation as well. Like so if you see duplicating configuration sets, now if you see there's a note, if the configuration set you duplicated contains event destinations or repetition options, these settings will need to be manually updated. So this will not be automatically updated. I can show you as well. Like if I go to my secondary region, first I will show you my primary region. So this is my primary region configuration set 123. It has a event destination, two destinations, SNS and SNS. But if I go to my this is the top secondary region. If I go to my event destination, you will see no destinations are here. So these settings are not duplicated. These things you would have to do on your own. Similarly for domain as well, if you the domain will get verified. If I go to my domain, you will see that domain has been verified in the secondary region. But if I have any custom policies, custom mail from setup, that would not be duplicated. Like if I see this thing, so see note. And one more thing is like if you verify a domain will bring your own DKIM, then also it will not get duplicated. And domain identities like mail from attribute policies or feedback forwarding, these things have to configure manually. They will not be done on their own. This document you can refer. And also one more thing that I missed in the earlier part. So there is a permission that you need to give. Basically, this permission is for granting SES to create service linked roles. Basically, these roles, what these roles would do is, these roles would be needed to create, use, and monitor global endpoints. I already had the administrator like the condition, so I did not have to have to create this. But if you're I am user or I am a role, but you have to provide this condition, like provide this permissions to be able to create global endpoints. Like you have to basically give SES the permissions to create, use, and monitor global endpoints. I will share this documentation in the description as well, so you can copy it directly and give the permissions. Now to coming back to testing my setup. So let's go to global endpoints. This is the endpoint ID UN1. So yeah, so here this was the command to test. So basically you just have to replace the endpoint ID, replace the from address. This is the from part. You have to replace this as well. The to part, you have to basically add your from address and recipient email address and add the endpoint ID here. And I am in my CLI now, so I will just copy this command. I've copied it. Yeah. So you see a message ID. This message ID basically means that the email has been sent successfully from SES. So this is the basic demo how you can use SES global endpoints. This was for the AWS CLI. If you're using SDK, there is SDK documentation, AWS documentation available. You just have to add the global endpoint ID, this part, depending upon how you're sending emails. I will share that this documentation as well with you. It will help you uh, in following the steps as well. Now there is also a feature of cross-region metrics. If you see, basically what this matrix will tell you is like I have the two regions like USD's one and the secondary region. So how many emails were sent using the first region and how many emails were sent using second region. So we have sent a couple of emails now, but it will take some time to load. So yeah, we can you can look after sending some emails, you can wait for some time and let this matrix reload. So we saw that how you can send emails using global endpoints. Now there are certain FAQs that you would have in mind. Like first question that comes in mind is like, is traffic split evenly among both the regions, secondary and primary? So yes, as per AWS documentation, once the global endpoint is set up, traffic is split evenly between both the primary and secondary regions. So which basically means is that if you're sending 10,000 emails, 5,000 emails go through the first region and 5,000 would go to the second region. So this should be the ideal behavior as per the documentation. Now coming to the second question. So it's that, do we need to verify the domains in the secondary region manually by adding the domain and creating DNS records? So no, as we already discussed previously. So we do not need to verify our domain in the secondary region. We can just use the duplicate option in the global endpoint in the primary region, and using lead, the domain would automatically verify it in the secondary region. Third, are there any additional charges for using global endpoints? So yes, there are additional charges. Basically, for normal emails that you send, the charges are like $0.10 for 1,000 emails sent. But if you use global endpoints, there would be an additional charge of 0.03 per 1,000 emails, which basically means that if you send 1,000 emails, the total charge would now be $0.10 plus $0.03 as well. And data transfer charge is something for attachments as for sending data. So you can refer to this pricing document for more details, but using global data endpoints would incur extra charges. Fourth, that it is possible to set multiple secondary regions for global endpoints. So that is not possible as of now. You can only have one primary region and one secondary region. You cannot have multiple secondary regions. Moving to question number 5. Let's say if you're already using SES, you would be aware that your sending can get paused due to high bounce or complaint rate. So the query is that if a sending gets paused if in one region due to high bounce or complaint rate, will the sending be shifted to the secondary region? So that answer is no, because this is a compliance issue. Like your sending is has been paused due to some issue with your sending, because your sending is same, like you're just distributing it across both the regions. So if emails are getting bounced in one region, which basically means that it would also get bounced in secondary region. However, the global endpoint feature was used to enhance the disaster recovery. So the traffic will only get transferred if there is a if the region gets down. Otherwise, it will evenly distribute. However, if your sending gets paused in one region, then you won't be able to send emails in second region as well. Question number 6. Will the second region be used in case of outage, or will the email still go through both regions if we have configured global endpoints? So as per our discussion, the last question, once you have configured global endpoints, your emails will evenly distribute. And in case of outage, all the emails would shift automatically to the secondary region. So these are the reference links that you can see. It's AWS documentation which tells you steps how to configure it. I will share it in the description part. And second is a blog which shows how you can build resilient architectures with SES using global endpoints. So that was all for this. If you have any doubts or concerns, you can let me know in the comment section. Otherwise, we are good to go. Thanks. Cheers.